Welcome to Love Your Midlife. I'm so glad you're here. If you are a subscriber to my channel, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad that you're back. If you're new here, then I would love for you to subscribe and let me know if you like a video that I've done. And don't forget, if you're in the car, I have a podcast. We have a Facebook group that's called Love Your Midlife, and there are a lot of really wonderful things on there. But don't forget to check out my website down below, www.loveyourmidlife.com. There are a lot of really interesting things on there. You can get on my email list and get notified when different things are coming up. You can subscribe to the podcast, a lot of really good things there. So don't forget to check out my website, Love Your Midlife, and look forward to seeing you over there. I am so happy to be with you here today, and I actually am working on a request today. Uh, I belong to some different groups. I think a lot of you know that my last child just went off to college, and I belong to an empty nesters group. And I actually had someone reach out to me and say, "Can you talk about being alone? How do we learn how to be alone? And what do we do about loneliness?" And I think that's really an interesting thing to talk about because in our 50s and beyond, many of us are going through huge shifts in our life, right? We are losing parents, we are helping out with our parents, our children are moving out, some of us are losing spouses, or some of us are actually not in the best marriage. Maybe you've been married for 25, 30 years and you're feeling lonely in your marriage. There are a lot of different ways to feel lonely. I think the most important thing to remember is that loneliness and being alone are really two different things. And we'll talk about that a little bit more today. But I know for me, I've actually had both of those things to deal with. A lot of times they go hand in hand, and sometimes they don't. But a lot of you know that my youngest went off to college, and I really had a hard time with it. I was really having a hard time with being an empty nester. I had so many children, and I really was never alone, ever. I had a big family, and the whole time I was growing up, I always had to share a bedroom with my sister. And so I went right from that to being married, and I never really experienced a lot of being alone. Having a big family, I was always in the bathroom and someone was knocking on the door, can I come in? So if you got a shower, it was a good day, right? So that's really how a lot of my life went down. And so my son went off to college, and I was like, now what do I do? And so that really, kind of kept me in this place of going through a huge change, a lot of midlife changes, a lot of shifts. And I ended up becoming a coach, which I absolutely love. And, trying to help other women kind of get through some of the tough times of midlife. So I had to really do some things around being alone. I had to really make some changes. So we're going to talk about that today. A lot of women absolutely are like, yeah, finally, I have some alone time and I get to focus on me. And then other women really struggle with it. So it's not none of it's right or wrong. It's just kind of what's going on in your life, right? And you can be super aware of that. Um, Learning to be alone is actually very similar to going through a grief process. And I know that sounds really odd, but for me, I really had to process being alone and the good parts of it and the parts of it that I didn't like. And once, just kind of the same thing with grief, once you get to the other side, it feels a whole lot better. But walking through learning how to be alone is very similar to the whole grief process. And some of us are dealing with grief and being alone. Maybe you've lost a spouse, maybe you're going through a divorce, um, maybe it's a parent that you've lost, and you're dealing with both of those things. And I can say because I lost one of my children a few years ago. And I can say the grief process is really, really, really hard. Um, but I would really, really recommend that you get in a group. And that helped me so much to get into a group. So even if this is not something you're dealing with, loneliness or being learning how to be alone, you probably know someone. There's a huge amount of people in our culture that are really dealing with being alone and loneliness. And it's not something in our culture that we really talk about. It's not something I think people are embarrassed to say, I'm lonely, or I don't know how to be alone, or I don't like being alone. And so have that conversation go on in your family and with your friends, um, and maybe be that person in their life that really understands that it's hard. It's hard to learn how to be alone and to come out on the other side and be happy. So if grief is something you're really dealing with, or sadness, don't be shy at all about going and seeing a therapist. Don't be shy. Go see someone. It's a process that you really have to talk through and work through. So if you're dealing with those two things at the same time, that's a tough, tough situation. And don't be shy about going and getting help. And don't be shy about telling your friends and your family that you're having a hard time. You're really having a hard time with it. Um, and if someone is like that in your world, reach out to them. Be that woman that says, let's go get coffee. Tell me what's going on. They will love that. They will absolutely love that without having to come to you and try to get that from you. So um, just know that there are a lot of people out there dealing with these two things. I think the first thing, and I know I talk about this a lot, but it's really having self awareness. Are you truly lonely, or are you just adjusting and dealing with being alone? They're really two different things. There are a lot of positive things about having me time. There are a lot of positive things about really understanding that this can be a great time in your life. This can be a wonderful time in your life. So have some self awareness. And the first thing really is, how are you feeling? And, I'm just going to say it because it's really true. If you are feeling sorry for yourself, and I can say this with total self awareness because I have been in this situation many times, give yourself a little slap on the face and go, stop. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Okay. Whether it is grief, or whether it is just being alone too much, don't fall into that trap where you're feeling sorry for yourself. And don't fall into that trap that kind of leads you to depression and more serious, really more serious mental health issues. Get a handle on how you're feeling. All right. And if it's loneliness, when do you feel alone? Why are you struggling with loneliness? All right. And are there things that trigger you? Right? Is it you lost a spouse, and you're not comfortable about being around maybe some of your friends that talk about their husbands a lot or something like that. So I think it's really important to think about how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way. And then it's also really a good idea. And something that's so powerful is journaling and writing some of these things down. It's so healthy to get all this stuff out. So whether you want to talk to somebody about it or you want to journal and write things down, it's incredibly helpful. It's so helpful to write things down. And what do you need? What's going to make you feel better? Do you need to get out more, right? Are you at home all the time and you're kind of borderline becoming a recluse, right? Is that something that's going on? Um, so start thinking about some of the things that you need. I know for me, right when I went through the part of my life where I was dealing with midlife. Then I moved, and then I had to change some things. And I wanted to meet new people. So if you want to meet new people, write that down. And then what are your interests? For me, mine was garden club. So I joined the local garden club. And it was wonderful. I got to be around all of these wonderful women that like doing the same thing I like to do. And a lot of them were around my age. So that really was important. Now, I do want to warn you, just staying busy and not dealing with your feelings and some of the emotions that are coming up for you may lead you back to feeling void, empty, and alone. Okay? So just staying busy sometimes doesn't cut being alone and loneliness. What really makes a big difference is being involved with people that you can talk to, have relationships with, things like that. Okay. So I know because I went through that and I was helping out at my son's school and I was feeling lonely and it really wasn't helping at all, to be honest. So at the end of the day, just staying busy a lot of times doesn't cut it. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out to you. Um, don't be afraid to try new things at this time in your life, right? Join something that will make you feel good, all right? Join a yoga class. So many people that are learning how to be alone or dealing with loneliness, you really need to get out. A lot of times, the simple answer for this dilemma is to get out of your house. And I know that sounds silly, but it's really true. Get out and find some things that you enjoy and find some things that you love. Um, the other thing is don't be shy about asking people that you're meeting what else they're doing. What else are you involved in? Right? I asked a woman and she said, "Oh, well, I'm involved in a book club." And I said, "Oh, I'd love to come to that." So don't be shy about asking around what some of your other friends are doing and what they're enjoying. Um, and you can also do things like join a Facebook group. Now, it's not going to be as satisfying as in person, but it's a step, right? And the way we make change in our life is by taking little steps and then feeling good about them and then maybe making another step, taking another step. Um, the other thing you can do, and I know this is going to sound kind of funny, but you can get a pet, right? Especially if you're not a huge people person. One of the most wonderful things you can do in the world is get a pet. And I lost my dog, and I was having a very hard time with it a while back. And I went out and got a couple of puppies. Um, Now, you don't have to go get two puppies like I did. Um, okay, it's a little chaotic, it's a little crazy, but I'm enjoying it. And when I'm not home, they have each other. So I did put a lot of thought into it. But getting a pet can be really satisfying. Um, I love rescuing. You can rescue a dog, you can rescue a cat, and you might want to think about it. You might want to, put a little bit of thought into it and find out if that is something that might feel good for you. Um, and there's service dogs. I mean, there are so many different things you can do out there when it comes to animals and pets and that type of thing. Um, don't feel shy about reaching out to people. And I know that sounds odd. If you are a people person, this just comes so naturally to you. If you're a little bit more of an introvert like I am, don't, this is a great time in your life to not be shy. This is a great time in your life to reach out to someone and say, "Hey, I'm really looking for some things to do." Be honest with some of your friends and some of the people that you're meeting. Um, and tell them, say, "I'm really trying to meet some more people. Hey, I just moved here. I'm really trying to meet some more people. Hey, my youngest just went off to college. I'm really trying to meet more women my age." It's great. And it feels really good to say it out loud. And a lot of times we don't want to do that. right? We think it's awkward or whatever. It's really not. It's really not. And people are going to go, oh, cool. Okay. Well, we should include her next time because I know she's trying to meet new people. I know she's an empty nester, or I know she's divorced, and things like that. The other thing I really want to recommend when you're going through this process and trying to find ways to feel better, don't forget that giving back is probably the greatest gift that you can give yourself, right? Giving back, whether you love little children, whether it's teaching Sunday school or maybe helping up at the elementary school or doing book readings at the library. Um, Maybe you want to be around more women your age, so you volunteer. There are so many things you can volunteer for. There are so many ways you can get out there and give back and feel really, really good about even if you're going through a horrible divorce, even if something really bad, maybe you just lost your mom, giving back is going to be instant gratification. It's going to feel good the day you go out and do it. And you don't have to have, long conversations with people about your horrible, horrible ex-husband, right? You don't even have to go into that. It's just getting out and being around other people can really, really make you feel good. So um, this is a great time to take control of your life. This is a great time to be in the driver's seat and really kind of figure out what you want. So many times in our life, we are tossed back and forth between careers and children and friends. And this is a great time in your life where you really get to kind of sit back and think about some of these things. And don't depend on others. Don't be dependent on others to fix your life right now. And the reason I say this is it can be very dangerous. If you are lonely and you want to date, and someone comes into your world and really starts sort of rearranging your life, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. So take time to know what your boundaries are, to know who you are as a person, to be strong. So when someone comes into your life, whether it's a friend or a boyfriend, you are very secure in who you are. If we are lonely and we are needy, we are not going to attract the right people, whether it's friends or boyfriends. Either way, we're not going to attract the right people. And it's actually kind of scary in a way if we're needy. So if you can have some self-awareness and you can identify the fact that you are feeling very needy, I would really recommend that you work on that. What is it that you need to do to feel really good about yourself, your self-care, your self-love, right? Maybe spending some time with a couple of close friends and saying, this is really some things that I need to work on. Maybe go to a therapist. Maybe even have a coach if there's something really important that you would love to do. Work with a mentor or work with a coach. But you don't want someone coming into your life fixing you. You want to fix you before you have other people come into your life. Okay? I can't tell you how important this is, because if we are putting out needy, not good vibes, not good positive energy into the universe, that is what's going to come back to us. That's what's going to be attracted to us. So work on you first, get you where you want to be, and then start having all these. You're going to attract wonderful people into your life. If you're willing to do that work, that's who you're going to attract. Okay? Focus on what you can control in your life. Don't worry and drive yourself crazy about the things you can't control. Focus on the things you can control. You can get out of your house. You can go for a walk. There are a lot of things you have control over. Some things you don't have control over. And there might be some things in your life you'll never have control over. But there are things that you can do. And if you are lonely and you are in a marriage, then I would really recommend that you get some help around that, because you can either make it better and try to fix it, or maybe you want to go in the other direction. That's really up to you. Practice changing one small thing every day, right? We don't wake up and our life is completely different. That doesn't usually happen to us. So if you are having a really hard time with change or taking a step, do something small today and then do something else the next day. It'll build your confidence. It'll help your self-worth. Pick up the phone and call someone if you're dealing with being alone or loneliness. You don't have to sit around and feel sorry for yourself. You are in control of your life. It's you. It's all about you. So do something small that'll make you feel better. Stop by someone's house, right? Go somewhere. Go do something. Practice changing one thing every day. It might be a habit, something like that. Make a list of the things that you know you want in your life, right? Go to my website and download my free workbook and start thinking about you and what you need and what you want. Not what everybody else thinks you need, not what your children think you need, but what do you need and what do you want? And it's really helpful to write it down in a notebook, in a journal, whatever you have access to. Be willing to try some new things. Work on your perspective. A lot of times we need to work on our perspective. We need to have some mindfulness and some mindset work, right? Not everything is terrible. Not everything is horrible. There are lots of wonderful things going on in your life. So practice your gratitude every day. So you're not just focused on all the things that you don't like. Get out, go shopping, go somewhere, get out of your house and give back. Giving back is fantastic. It's instant gratification. Loneliness can seem like it's complex or being alone. It's really not. It's actually pretty simple. Try some of these very, very simple things, and I guarantee you, you will start feeling a little bit better. Identify the triggers if you have those. Don't be afraid to go and get some help if you're dealing with grief and loneliness. That is a powerful thing to deal with on your own. Follow your loves, follow your passions. Focus on what you can do and focus on what you have control over. And don't focus on the things you don't have control over at this particular time in your life. You deserve to be happy. And you can learn how to be alone and really love it and really feel good about it and really feel happy about it. So don't feel sorry for yourself because you are in control of your life. I've loved this time together. Don't be afraid at all to reach out to me and let me know what's going on in your life. Is there anything you want to talk about? Is there anything I can help you with? I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, loves.